Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured Nigerians of the commitment of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC administration to fight corruption, fix the economy, improve national cohesion, and strengthen the independence of the judiciary. Shettima gave this assurance at the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria on Monday in Abuja. The conference themed Strengthening Nigeria's Democracy, Pathways to Good Governance and Political Integrity was organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. Shettima, who was represented by his special advisor on political issues, Hakeem Baba Ahmed, admitted that while democracy is not a perfect system compared to others, it is the best form of government. I am convinced that Nigeria shall rise again, answer to its full potential, and lead the way to a future that has learnt lessons from a difficult past into a world in which our country will be a key player and our young will be active champions of a democratic system because it speaks to them. We will continue to seek to provide evidence of the values of the democratic system by, among others, fixing major weaknesses of our economy, securing our communities, fighting corruption, supporting free and fair elections, strengthening the independence of the judiciary, and improving national cohesion, he said. Shettima urged Nigerians to support the current administration in this challenging but ultimately rewarding journey, stressing that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has a major interest in the quality of the democratic system. Please, Mufasa, I'd love to get your thoughts concerning this. Do you think we've actually been getting promises like this? Do you think this is something that's coming in to stay?
Well, you see, you can't run away from the matter. So if you look at it critically, it's still linked to the discussions we just had. You know, when you speak about these things, when you had the opportunity to talk, and we know that it's not the first time we hear our politicians speak. You know, I've said it before that our political class, if it's to talk, they know how to craft these things. You know, they have sugar-coated tongues. They know that Nigerians need quality, and they know what quality is. But the problem is implementation. The problem is giving out some of these things they just mentioned that they've been saying over and over again, that is now becoming like a broken record in the ears of Nigerians. They can't provide it for people. Now, you're talking about strengthening democracy. Of course, I will have a serious quarrel when, you know, the vice president was not even there himself. You know, the special advisor was the one who came to speak on behalf of the vice president. That goes to show how, you know, some of these things don't really matter to them. But because they've been invited to speak, you know, they sat down to craft something that when you hear it, you will be blown away. But it's going to take forever before we see some of these things being implemented and put on the ground so that Nigerians can see that they're actually honest and true to their words.
Okay.
They're talking about strengthening democracy, and people are still complaining about our electoral system. In 2007, I beg your pardon, when we had the elections that brought in late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua, after the entire process, he confessed that the entire process was actually not impressive, that he knew that everything was, you know, was not done properly. And he set up the Always Commission to look into our electoral process and come up with solutions on how to get a better system. Leadership recruitment, very, very important, because it is a process that will bet the kind of leaders that will, you know, that will present and give Nigerians quality leadership. The panel sat, you know, and they brought what was referred to as the Justice Waste Commission and all of that, the white paper and all of that, and, you know, some things, you know, we are recommended, this electronic system and all of that, that we've still not been able to get it right. It shows that even from the get-go, there was no sincerity of purpose and intention. Because if there was, by now we will not be complaining about how leaders, were recruited and people will still not be satisfied, where you will still have to wait for the judiciary to decide who eventually becomes the president, the governor, the local government. So these are the issues. So for me, we should move away from the rhetorics of talk all the time. We talk too much in this country. Let us sit down and think of how to put things in place so that things can start working, even if it's to lay the foundation.
Thank you so much.
Because when you lay foundation, people will see that the structure is being built, and it will further build the confidence in Nigerians. But what we see is a complete far cry. So for me, it's just like the same old stories, and everything just go the way it seems to go. So I'm not excited. It's one of those things that they tell us as Nigerians.
Messiah Kauno, please, your thoughts on this.
Well, Mufasa has said it all, but let me just add that first, that this is almost like rehearsing the manifesto of the APC administration from 2015 till date. I know I mentioned it earlier when we talked about an issue. But again, let me just say that in simple local balance, instead of all this talk, show working now. Show working.
Yeah.
Let's see that the economy being fixed is reflecting in our pockets, in our purchasing power, and in the markets where all of us buy. And let us see that security is also improves. No doubt, you have to give them some credits, especially in the northeast and northwest, the Zamfara areas, that security has improved. But just like we discussed in the case of Kaduna, I think much more still has to be done. That synergy must be there. And then to fight corruption and strengthen democracy. If you want to strengthen democracy where there is no accountability, then we have not started. You can't come and tell the whole nation in the midst of a national election that there were glitches, and up till now we don't know how those glitches came about. No investigation, no open, no transparent process of holding anybody to account. And yet everybody is just behaving business as usual and going about his activity, and already talking about 2027 election. Less than 6 months into the present administration, we are talking, and that means there is no remorse. In fact, we might come to a point where election, in fact, election people will be seen struggle. In fact, there is no trust in the process, and so don't be surprised that if by 2027 what we saw in 2023 becomes a child's play. Because if you don't hold people to account, then you are calling people to lawlessness.
Thank you so much.
Democracy, rule of law must hold people to account. There must be accountability before we succeed.
Thank you so much in that.